Okay, what do you get when you have Shah Rukh Khan, Juhi Chawla, bright colors, terrible sound, lots of music, and SRK in a dual role? You know what that sounds like to me? 90s Bollywood. Okay, so this was recommended to me a little bit ago, and I was a little hesitant because it's 1998. But you know what? She said some nice things, so I had to watch it. So the film I watched was Duplicate, directed by Mahesh Bhatt, and it was recommended by Zainu Al Sad. Zainu Al Sad, and she had another SRK film that I watched. I can't remember which one it was, but it stars Shah Rukh Khan, who I've seen. I'm not going to list how many movies I've seen of his. I'm looking forward to King coming out at the end of the year, but I've seen probably 25, 30 films of his. Juhi Chawla, who I've seen in Darr, Furby Dil High, Hindustani, ISHQ, Sonali Bendre. Okay, now I've seen her in two things, but I don't remember her because I certainly, excuse me, I don't remember her looking like this. Sarfarosh in Kal Ho Naa Ho. Um, at one point, Shah Rukh Khan had to choose between the two. And I think Juhi Chawla is lovely. But Sonali? Kajol? That's right. I saw it. She got a little cameo. Very little. She was in Fana, which I hated. My name is Khan. Monish Bail and Farida Jalai, who played his mom. Okay, a little tidbits, not a lot. Little tidbit about the film. This film, the release was delayed 2 years. Also, during filming, Juhi Chawla's mother passed. They were going to film, I think they said they were going to film in Budapest. I think that's what I remember reading. But they didn't because her mother passed. Also, this is a remake of an American film from 1935, The Whole Town is Talking. Now, as I do with every 90s Bollywood film, I have to put a disclaimer.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Anyone
Danger.
who's
No, Will Robinson.
been loyal to the
Danger.
channel, you know this already. But for those who recently subscribed, I'm not a big fan of 90s Hindi cinema. Not, I don't dislike all of it because some of it's actually very good, but it's got a certain look and feel and sound quality that I just don't like. The acting is very over the top, goofy sound effects, bug eyes, so I'm not a big fan of that. Okay. And everybody knows it. Now, I'm a big SRK fan. And, does he does he do all right in this type of film? Yeah, he does all right. He does. It's not for lack of trying on his part, I can tell you that. Okay, so let me get that disclaimer out of the way. Zainu, don't hate me for this, okay? But I got to be honest. All right, let's start with the story. Wait, I got to, because I'm breaking this up in chapters. Now let's do the review. Okay, the story is about two guys, Manu, Bablu. Clever writing right there. Clever writing. Bablu is a chef who's trying to find a job. Manu is a big time gangster who, at the start of the film, breaks out of prison. Okay? So their paths are going to cross. And to avoid the police, Manu is going to take Blabu's identity. So they'll all start hunting Bablu because they think he's Manu. And along the way, he meets Juhi Chawla, who is she's like not the events, she's hiring the chef. Okay, so she runs that. And that's a whole nother kind of silly meeting. But anyway, so they introduce each character. Now, here's the other thing they did that was kind of interesting. The credits start at the opening of the film. And the opening of the film shows Manu praying to a god, trying to break a coconut. And you realize he's kind of a nerd. Okay. Now, while they're doing these scenes, a credit pops up, and then the scene continues. Okay. Now they show Manu escaping prison. Same thing. And and at one point he gets a gun on a cop and does the whole dirty Harry, in all the excitement. I don't know if I fired 6 shots or only 5. So they do that whole thing, tribute to Dirty Harry. Uh, and then, so 15 minutes have gone by, and they finally show you who the director of the film is. I've never seen that before in any of these films. I also did notice that Farah Khan did the choreography in this, and I know she directed SRK Om Shanti Om, Man Noon Hana, and Happy New Year. So that was kind of interesting to see. Um, so now they got the parallel stories where Bablu's trying to get a job. He gets the job as a chef. Manu's trying to avoid the police, but he's also trying to get revenge on the gangsters who he went to jail for stealing money. He didn't rat out the other guys, but the other guys didn't give him any assistance. Now he wants his share. The three bad guys don't want him to get his share. So that's the parallel track that starts. Okay. And what's really interesting is one side with Manu is pretty goofy. Excuse me, Bablu. Look at, I'm getting confused. And the Manu side is a little bit goofy, but gets pretty violent too. Also, I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever seen as much sexual innuendo in a Hindi film as I've seen in this one. A lot of it. Now, in Hindi cinema, what are we talking about here? I mean, we're really talking innuendo because they very rarely show anything. They're very chaste about that. I get that. But it was pretty, there was a lot of it. It really actually surprised me to the point that I noticed it. Um, so, so then the mother gets involved, and he's got a weird relationship with his mother where he always says, "Hug me, hug me, hug me." He loves his mom, and I'm not going to get into the plot because, frankly, the plot is so stupid. It's just numb, right? So ultimately, Bablu, who's the goofy, not so bright one, beats Manu, the smart, angry gangster. And Bablu ends up with Juhi Chawla's character, Sonia. Sonia. But not Lily, who was Manu's girlfriend, who I would have gone with Lily. Wow. That is a beautiful, sexy, hot woman. Whew. Juhi Chawla is the one, oh, what a nice girl. I want to marry her. I wasn't thinking that with Lily. Okay. Um, a couple of action pieces in a bar. There's a big gunfight that's actually pretty good. Now, again, with 90s Hindi cinema, the guns sound like pew pew pew, kind of lame, but whatever. I would like to know because I couldn't find this anywhere. What was the location of this film? Because it was beautiful. They were at some kind of seaside resort, but the location was absolutely beautiful. Um, I like that. So let's see what else. Yeah, cops. Yeah, they give him an ID. That's stupid. A lot of crying. A lot of crying in this film. I don't know what is. Again, 90s cinema with SRK. He's always watery eyes, red eyes. Everybody's crying. I don't know. Um, oh, this is something I liked. Both characters, Manu and Bablu, broke the fourth wall. In other words, they looked right at the camera and said something to the audience, which was kind of a wink and a nod. But this is what I'm talking about. So at one point, Bablu is pretending to be Manu in front of his gang, right? But he's with Lily. And Manu, who's pretending to be Bablu, comes into his hideout. which is now Bablu as Manu's hideout. SRK sees him, gets scared, and these cartoon eyeballs pop out of his head like Tex Avery cartoons, bling, like that. Why? No idea. No idea. That's what I mean about it's kind of silly. Um, yeah. So that's it. I'm not going to get into the plot that much. The story. I'll give the story a 5. I mean, Duel has been done 1,000 times. The Man in the Iron Mask, Prisoner of Zenda. I mean, there's so many. There's so many of these, and this one, the plot wasn't really all that special. Now the performances. Look, knowing what it's like in 90s cinema, I do look at it a little differently than I would look like at a Shah Rukh Khan film now. Okay, now does he pull off the dual role? Yeah, he does. I mean, he really creates two completely different characters. The gait, the hair, the voice, the eyes, even the way he does his eyes, where Bablu has kind of an innocent look, the other guys, But I will say this: I felt out of the two, no, they're both over the top, but out of the two, the bad guy was a more realistic character than the Bablu. Like he played Bablu just like a child. That's what it reminded me of, a child. Um, okay, but having said that, two distinct characters, and he must have had a ball doing this. I will also say this: the technology that they used, where usually you would think in the '90s it would be split screen, where someone's going to be on either side. They didn't do that. They were walking around each other. They were handing each other stuff. I thought the special effects were actually really well done for the dual role. So kudos to that. Now the women, look, Juhi Chawla, who is good in this, but she, I mean, didn't have much to do. Lily had a little more to do because at one point she's trying to seduce him. She's like a femme fatale, but again, she's just. I was just like, wow, who is this? She is. Oof, couldn't believe it. I can't remember seeing her before, but I'm doing more research on. I really want to find out a lot more about her. Even the bad guys were fine, but they were kind of one dimensional. This is an SRK film, and if you go by that, and I have to give him credit for obviously he put everything into it, and the film is carried by him. So if you're a fan of him, I think you'll like it, even though the film's kind of stupid. But I'm going to give his performance a 7 because I thought, in fact, here's what I'll do. I'm going to give Bablu a 5 because he was kind of silly. I'm going to give Manu a 7. Okay? Okay. Now, if it's 90s cinema, then you know there's going to be a lot of music. And I'll tell you right now, I'm probably going to get copyright hit on all of it, but I'm going to try to put in as much as I can, okay? So if you don't see a clip, it's because I got a copyright hit. And I have to say this, I actually enjoyed the numbers. I enjoyed the musical numbers because these were all like production numbers, every single one of them. There was nothing small. The first song, which was probably the strangest one, he's in a test kitchen for his job, and it turns into this surreal kitchen with red and white. It reminded me, if you've ever seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the candy shop. Toot Sweet, they sing. That's what it reminded me of. But the song is Waji Wa, which is Wow Sir Wow, I think. And that was a very visual number. It was a fun number, kind of a interesting way to introduce him and the movie too. The second song is K Rahi Hai, which is featuring Lily, where she's got all these costume changes. And I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but she is really hot. Yeah. Zainu, don't hate me because I'm going overboard because she was just so hot. She was hot. She was a decent actress too, I think. But that's a good number. The third song is Kathai and Con Wali, which is a love song. And it's in this beautiful, beautiful mountains. There's even they imagine themselves bride and groom, and it's why didn't you meet me earlier? That's the subtitle I got for it anyway. But that's a cute song. Fourth song, Ek Sharat. They get in a fight. They make up. He shows up on a skateboard, and the line is, and it was actually kind of catchy. La 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 la, and it kept going over and over. And she changed a lot. She was wearing these cute little outfits that she kept changing into. And apparently this, and I'm not familiar with this, but it was sampled from Laura Allen's "Slip and Slide" song. Fifth song. Now this was a really interesting song. Ladna Jagadna. And as the music is playing, and it's the two couples, it's Bablu as Manu with Lily, who thinks he's Manu, and Manu, who's pretending to be Bablu with Sonia. So now there's this couple dance number, right? Where they're showing each couple back and forth, back and forth. But I kept going, what is that song? I know that tune, and I know it's a kid song, but I don't know what it is. So of course I look it up, and what is it? A tisket, a tasket, she wore a yellow basket, and the Tom and Jerry cartoon theme. Like, duh, okay. But that was a cute number. And again, Lily looked quite lovely. Sixth song, Mer Mahub Mer Sanam. So Lily and Bablu as Manu steal Manu's money. And there's this number, it's kind of a surreal number, where he's dancing with Lily, but an imaginary Sonia shows up and dances with them. Now, this for me is, I was looking at this going, Juhi is really charming and adorable. But if I'm SRK, I'm going with Lily because she was just oh, wow, wow. Well, it's not. I'm not at the Karina Kapoor thing yet, but I'm getting close with her. And at the very end, there's a seventh song, but it's real short. It's supposedly their wedding where they kiss, and Sonia kisses him, and that's how it ends. And then the last credit is they thank Kajol for her cameo, which was kind of nice. I like the music. I will say the songs were really long. They were long. Each one was really long, but pretty catchy. And I appreciate good visuals too. And I'm not gonna lie, the numbers that featured Lily, I probably liked a little more. Like I'm gonna watch a couple of those numbers again. Okay, so to me, that gives the music a 7. Now, my final verdict. It was kind of a dumb movie, silly dialogue, but I could see where, let's say you were a kid and you saw this film, whether you saw it in the 90s, whether you saw it in the 2000s, but you're a kid watching this. I could see where you would like this. And I could see where you could take a family to this film. Now, there were scenes in this film that were very violent, like surprisingly violent. It wasn't like sometimes they do real cartoonish stuff in movies like this, but it wasn't like that. So, you know, uh, is it for kids? I don't know, but SRK's role and how he played it was definitely for kids. So, with that in mind, okay, I'll give this movie a 6. Um, you know, it's just kind of silly and juvenile. It's not really my cup of tea. Although I have to say, I you recommend the films, I'm going to watch them, and it is interesting for me to watch those films to see the evolution of Hindi cinema. And I don't just mean the acting, which has definitely changed, the set designs, the colors, although it's still pretty colorful. But the whole process of filmmaking has changed so much since the 90s. The film quality, the sound quality, nothing used to be recorded. It used to be, what's it called? ADR, I think. Um, so it's just so different. And that is kind of cool to see. but it's these movies are almost 3 hours long, and it's tough to get through a movie like this that's 3 hours long. And I do appreciate SRK, I do, uh, and I know what a big star he is, but it was just and not for any not any fault of his. It's probably direction, it's probably script, and I don't think he actually wanted to do this. He kind of did this as a favor, but he originally did not want to do this film. And I've seen him do dual roles better. The Fan or Fan, I don't know if it's called The Fan or Fan. He was. I really like the dual role there. But okay, that's it. Zanu, please don't be mad at me. I'm just, you got a 50-50 shot with these 90s. That's why I do the disclaimer, okay? But I appreciate you recommending it, and I don't want you to stop recommending, okay? You want me to watch more SRK film from the 90s? I'll watch them, okay? All right, so that's it. I've got, based on the success I've had with the Darr 2 reviews, and frankly, some of the last few have really taken off a bit. I'm getting a lot of recommendations. And I've got a list of right now about 20 films. I think what I'll do on one of these episodes, I'll list the 20 films that I'm going to watch. And I'm just going to say it one more time. If I can't stream it, I can't watch it. And a lot of the films you guys give me, I cannot stream. And it's real hard to watch on YouTube. The auto translate is awful. The quality usually isn't that good. And you find 5 versions and they're all different lengths. So I got to be able to stream it, and I got all the streaming channels. So just give me one, make sure I can stream it, and I'll watch it. Okay. And do me a favor, if you haven't already, although 3,510 already have, please subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and the most important thing is to please share these videos, because that's really why the channel grew to almost 900 subscribers since Durandar 2 came out. Um, and it's because you guys are sharing it. So thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. I never take that for granted either. So that's it. We'll talk to you soon on John Talks Indian Cinema with another movie review. Hopefully not from the '90s, a trailer reaction or a song reaction. That's it. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's my SRK.